Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Honorable Crypto Podcast. This is your host, Dylan Bloom, and today we're going to be talking about Ripple. So, we're going to be telling you everything you might need to know about Ripple. So, Ripple and XRP are not quite synonymous, but they are highly related. XRP is the digital cryptocurrency that was created by Ripple Labs to fit the protocol that Ripple developed. So let's talk more about those. Now, Ripple, or Ripple Labs, is a company that has developed the Ripple protocol to make global payment processing simple and fast. This is an ideal protocol for use by banks and anyone seeking to send money across the world. XRP, on the other hand, is the asset that was proposed to be used in this protocol. This asset is centralized, meaning that Ripple Labs controls a great amount of XRP, which we'll get into why they do that later. But something interesting to note is that a bank or financial institution that's sending money across borders may choose their own separate digital asset other than XRP. But it's highly unlikely they would do that because XRP has been optimized for the Ripple protocol. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. Let's get started with the purpose of Ripple. So, in traditional banking systems, getting money from one place to another is time-consuming and expensive, especially when you want to go across borders. So if you've ever heard or ever tried to make a global payment or ever had someone else try to do so, you've probably wanted to gouge your eyes out of your head. These transactions can take days to settle, can cost trillions of dollars annually, and these are incredibly unreliable. Well, Ripple Protocol plans to bring a potential solution to this problem. So what technology does Ripple have? Ripple provides these financial institutions with a sort of neutral solution to the double spend problem. So what cryptocurrency does and what Bitcoin originally was made to do is to solve the double spend problem. In the double spend problem, money is sent two different places. And that's just the same set of money. So how can we make a digital asset and make sure that it's sent to the one place and that it can't be double spent? Well, we have consensus. And what consensus is it's a bunch of different validators on a network making sure that transactions are valid. And to get a transaction validated, it doesn't take much work anymore. In the case of Bitcoin's proof of work, we see miners validating these transactions that are placed on the Bitcoin blockchain. But with Ripple, we have a little bit of something different. And what that is the consensus ledger. So let's talk about Ripple's consensus mechanism. So the consensus ledger is a blockchain, but it aims to agree on transactions and process these transactions as a unit, while preventing double spends. So instead of listing just one transaction after another, Ripple validates multiple transactions all at once. So they don't use proof of work or proof of stake because they take a great deal of transactions and process them all at once. This protocol is Ripple's way of confirming transactions. They define this protocol as proof of correctness. And you can read a lot more about that in their white paper, but I'll tell you just a basic explanation of the steps that happen in this protocol. The sender decides to perform this transaction, they authorize it by entering their private key, and then it's submitted to the network. So this transaction is now unconfirmed on the network. The network quickly spreads it and other transactions that are unconfirmed around the network, agreeing on it, and once we reach a majority of servers agreeing upon these transactions, each individual transaction is sent through. Now, the interesting thing about Ripple is that this transaction is recorded, and there's specific information about the transaction that is recorded as well, and Ripple writes this in the metadata. So after that happens, the transaction is processed, executed, and validated. So as you can tell, there's a lot more to this process than used on Bitcoin's blockchain, for example. With a consensus ledger, it's possible to actually know what happened with a transaction, which I think that's the really interesting part about Ripple. One of the many, I guess, is that they allow you to actually see what happened and when it happened, and some other information in the metadata of the transaction. Now, the important factor to keep in mind is this seems like a lot of work, right? This whole proof of correctness system seems like quite a bit of work, but this process occurs within less than 10 seconds. And as of right now, it's about, I think it was like 4 seconds for each transaction, which that's incredible. Right now, the reason that's so low and the 10-second mark is higher is because Ripple actually controls most of the XRP right now, so it's easy for their servers to reach consensus. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about XRP. So as I said earlier, XRP is the proposed digital asset to be used on Ripple's protocol. Technically, banks or other financial institutions can adopt Ripple Labs' protocol without using XRP, so they can put in their own digital asset in this protocol. However, Ripple has done an immense deal of work to make XRP the best asset to possibly be used with its protocol, so I don't see why any bank would propose a different digital asset to use. So, for this reason, Ripple expects it to be highly unlikely that anyone would accept the protocol and not accept XRP. So what are some possible applications? So, Ripple has often stated they want to make money as easy to send as information. Payments are currently incredibly slow and typically costly, especially on the global scale. This process doesn't just affect the people that are trying to send money and receive money, but also the institutions that have to go through the time-consuming process of converting one fiat currency to another fiat currency. So Ripple's fast system to move XRP from place to place is incredibly valuable to banks. So here's a little bit of the process that this goes through. The sender from one bank decides to send their form of fiat money to another bank in a different country. So our fiat currency that we send is now converted to XRP or another digital asset should a bank choose to implement that. Then the XRP is converted to another form of fiat currency in the place we are trying to send the money to. So let's take, for example, we're trying to send money from the US, which is where I live, to Mexico. So Mexico has pesos. So we're going from US dollars to pesos. Now typically this is going to take us days and cost us tons of money and fees to do, but with Ripple's system, all we have to do is take USD, switch it to XRP, switch that XRP into pesos. And that's all it takes for our banks. So this is taking our costly process that can take days and turning it into a much cheaper process that only takes a few seconds to do. So the wallets you can have Ripple on, won't spend too much time on this, but the one that I would recommend is the Ledger Nano S. I'll leave a link to that in the description of this video. That is going to be my Amazon affiliate link. Just as a disclaimer, the Ledger Nano S, it's a hardware wallet that can allow you to safely and securely store XRP among many other cryptocurrencies. Through holding cryptocurrencies off exchanges and offline together, it's impossible for these hackers that are out there trying to steal your XRP to gain access to these funds. To read more about it, click on the link in the description. It'll take you to the Amazon site. So another wallet you can use to store Ripple on is the Toast wallet, and this is an open sourced software wallet that can be ran on desktop or mobile. So the good thing about having this as a mobile wallet is that if you want to spend your XRP, you can do so pretty easily. Now, just a side note, never keep any significant amount of cryptocurrency on an exchange. If you'd like to keep it on a desktop or a mobile wallet, please do so in comparison to keeping it on an exchange. Exchanges get hacked all the time. It's not safe to keep those on exchanges. Now let's talk more about exchanges. What exchanges do I recommend to use for XRP? So I recommend Binance #1. So Binance has XRP paired with Bitcoin and Ethereum. They have a 0.1% trading fee, 0.05% if you use their BNB to pay for it. They have a 0.25 XRP withdrawal fee and a 22 XRP minimum withdrawal. So if you haven't already signed up for Binance, I'll leave that link in the description as well. That is another affiliate link. But another website we can use is Bitfinex. That has XRP paired with Bitcoin and US dollars. Now on Bitfinex, they have a little bit of a higher trading fee at 0.25%, and their withdrawal fee is actually 5 XRP. Another weird thing with Bitfinex is that you must have at least 20 XRP in the wallet that you are withdrawing into. So that's a little bit weirder. Some of the other exchanges that I don't personally recommend in comparison to those two are Kraken, Bitstamp, GateHub, Poloniex, and CoinDelta. So what have we learned today? The Ripple protocol is seeking to make the global payment gateway faster, easier, and cheaper. Ripple uses their own form of consensus called proof of correctness. This offers banks a neutral way to solve the double spend problem. XRP is the digital asset Ripple has optimized to be used for their protocol. A majority of this XRP is actually held by Ripple Labs, the company behind the protocol. That's all I have for you about Ripple. If there's anything else that you may need about Ripple, please do check out the post I made on honorablecrypto.com and leave a comment below. I'll try to get back to you within a day or so. Please like and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes if you enjoyed this podcast. And as always, stay honorable.